All right, hey guys, this is Lord Commander Guts here, here to give you the gist of how to get started in making Mordhau mod maps. So first, you want to do is go to the Mordhau mapping Discord. We have all the links here, and make sure you get yourself a role here. I got the content creation. You're going to need this as well. So once you get in, read the rules, go in the welcome channel, get the role that you need, and then scroll down, scroll down, scroll down, and go to the guides, and you can get all the list of the guides and as well as access to certain tutorials here. And then you go to, I believe it's starter packs. And don't worry about all the stuff on the top here. Go all the way to the bottom and then grab the Mordhau unofficial SDK. Or if you have, well, I guess this first one should work. So this should be the full version 1.0. 1.1 isn't quite out yet, so just use this one first. So once you have this installed, it's going to be in your file. And we'll save it somewhere fairly close to the root, because if it's too deep into a folder file like this, like more than 4, it's not going to cook. You want it as close to the source as possible, or to a quick drive here. So I have a U drive dedicated to all my Unreal stuff. So this is the drive itself, and then I'm just out here in the open with my Mordhau, and that's the USDK. It's called Mordhau. So if you have maps already in Mordhau, then you're going to want to make sure they're not named Mordhau. So this is the USDK. This has everything you're going to need. Then you make sure you have the engine. Hopefully you did that first, honestly. So I have 420, 421, 423. You only need 420. I have these two installed for other reasons, but you want 420. That way you can add in custom content and whatever you like. So yeah, make sure you have that set up. And then once you get started, you'll open this up and make sure you have a Epic account. You'll go to library. I already have a couple maps laid out, so this is the USDK labeled Mordhau, same as the folder, Mordhau. And then make sure you know the location of where your Mordhau folder is. I know where mine is. Mine's in the C drive. That's where I saved it on my SSD, but you got to find yours. It should be under C, Program, x86. Then you go to Steam. Let's go to Steam. And then Steam Apps, Common, Mordhau. And then you go to Mordhau. Then you go to Content, Mordhau, Maps. This is where all the maps you're going to save in. So if you ever need a test, make sure all your maps are in here. And if you're in game and you're testing a map and you've already uploaded to mod.io and you're downloading this from a different server, make sure to go to the settings and delete from your mod options in game. That way you're not playing that server or the server version rather than the version that you have on your PC. So you delete that from the settings, and then you manually put your folder in here. That way you can actually test it, and all you have to do is press open, type the name of the map, and you're in. And that's pretty much that part. And so now this is the SDK. You're going to load into this default level that Mapman and Battlefield have made. This is it. I wouldn't worry about that. All you have to do now is just go to File, make a new level. I typically like to just, it depends on what you're doing. If you're copy pasting, use empty level. If you're just going to make from scratch, default is perfect. That way you have the sky, you have everything you're going to need here. You don't need this. It won't even show in game. So from here, you just go to landscape. Landscape, and all the green is going to be your landscape. So you really need to zoom out here. I'd recommend getting the camera to 8 and zooming out just to make sure this is how big. Because this is huge. I'd almost recommend going down like 15 by 15. If you depending on what you're really working on, you'll figure it out here. So just kind of mess around with it. This is about a decent size for like a deathmatch server or deathmatch game mode. And then so you set it, you create. There it is. You got your landscape. And then all you have to do here is apply your materials, which I like to just copy and paste. And I'll actually provide those in the Discord for BPS sharing, blueprints. That way you can just copy paste it, and all you have to do is plug it in, and you're good to go. It's the same too that was in the tutorial. Same way, unless you want to do it from the tutorial itself. There is actually a pretty good one that Plu and Too Cool have worked together to make. Fairly easy. I believe it was them. Just if it's not, correct me in the comments. And that's fine here. Now, next thing you want to do after you make your landscape is set the game mode. World settings is right here for me on default. If it's not for you, make sure you go to Window and search for it here. You want that world settings here. Wherever you put it, it's your preference, but I like to have it right here. Then you go to, let's see, game mode right here. So you scroll down to game mode, and then whatever you want to put it in, just place it. Frontline for me doesn't work right now. The only thing that work is pretty much everything else. So I like to do horde mode maps. So I just place in horde mode, and it will automatically fill out all the things that you need. You can change and tweak around, like the player class, the controller class. You can change it to horde player, or you can have battle royale. That way you have more inventory slots and such. But we'll just see how this switches. Deathmatch. Yes, you can see it auto changes. Okay, so we'll just leave it at horde mode, and you're good. From here, you can mess around with the sculpt. So sculpt, you can sculpt the map. There's the texture, kind of giving a little depth to it. And that's it. You just move around, and then you press shift, and then the same button, right key, to go down. So not clicking shift, clicking shift. That's it. That's all it is. And then you can have a smooth option, smooth these out. You can make it bigger, the brush size that is, and smooth it out. Or you can have the brush fallout be a little less, so it's not as little subtle. Well, you can mess with it how subtle you want it to be. Like this would be fairly subtle. This would not be subtle at all, but that's fine. You can mess with that. And then from here, you can go to paint, and this is where you're going to put your materials. They're going to be hopefully in your map here. I have it in my shared assets. Where did I put it? Okay, so here's the sand and the grass, and here's my landscape. But this is in a different map, so what I could do to cheat is we'll duplicate it, and then we'll go to the new map, which I haven't saved it, so we're going to save this as... No, we're going to go up one. We're going to go to maps. There we go. And we're just going to call this test. You can name it whatever you want. Ta-da, test. Open that, and then you save. Map has to match the same folder. It's in test. And if you do like 2 words for your map, like test 2, right? It's just going to type this in as 1 word. If you capitalize another letter, it will then put the space in between test 2 in the menu. So you don't actually have to type the space. Just do a capital T, and it'll separate it to 2 words. But it's a visual cue. But you need to make sure it matches the folder. So that should be good. Test. Okay. Now it's created. Now I can take these, and I can actually... First, let's find it. Where's test? Test. All right. We're going to drag these to test. And move here. There's the option, and now it's moved. So now, if you want to apply it, you go to test. Ta-da. This is the easy way. Let's go back to landscape. Sorry, details. You need to click on it and go to details first. And here's landscape material. And since I have it here, and I'm going to try and post it on the Discord, so it's free. And these are what were provided to me, so hopefully I can share these in with you guys. Don't think there should be an issue. And these are the materials by default saved within landscape. All you have to do at this point is apply them. So this goes to sand, and this goes to grass. And after a few seconds of that, you just wait for it to load in, and it'll compile all the materials. And then here's actually an important thing. So you got to wait for it to compile the materials. There's the grass, and there's the sand. So now that's loaded in, you got the grass and you got the sand. So now, as you zoom out, you see that it kind of looks really rough. What you can do for that is actually go into the material itself, and you scale it. You go to, where is it? Oh, right here, back here. So you'll have these 4. And this is what it should look like. And then you can do the mapping scale. So generally for a big map like that, I'll just put like 10. But you got to make sure you do it to all of them, and you'll see the difference right off the bat. So let's do that real quick. Mapping scale to 10 for the texture. This one looks really bad, but then you save it. You have to manually save it, otherwise it will not apply. And it'll save. Ta-da! Now everything's referenced, and it's loading, it's compiling, and it's going to look much better scaled in the ratio of the map. So when you're zoomed out, it looks better. And if you're looking around, it won't be as bunched up in the texture. You see, it already looks much better. The dirt could do probably a little bit more scale. So what you could do is just mess around with that. Click back into this. And then make sure you look for the sand. So don't grab the grass. There's the grass. Here's the sand. Change this to, let's say, 15. And then down here, the sand. Yeah, that's already clicked. There we go. Oops, not 14, 15. Save. Saving. Closed. And now you should have the map. It's going to be compiling the shaders. And then you'll see a huge difference. It's going to look much better. Awesome. And so now that we're here, if you want to add custom content, right here, you're going to want to add a new folder. Just call it test shared assets. That's it. That's all you need. It's the same name as your map, and then you put everything in here. You can even put the materials in here. But if you do this, which I actually did this on purpose so I can show you, you want to move this here, right? But now it's going to dereference everything that you have. So now if you were to save it like this and go straight into Mordhau, there would be no texture. So you make sure it's saved in here. Make sure it's re-referenced. There you go. And then all you have to do is just, I do this just in case. So that way you just save it. And now it's in game. Now you can actually see it in game as a custom content. And that's exactly what you want to do. So anytime you want to add any materials that's not in game currently, you just put them in this folder. And try to organize it as much as you can. You can even put in a subfolder and say landscape material. That way you can keep it separate and have folders that are organized. But for that, that's easy. I'll leave that for another video here. And then from there, yeah, you got a map with grass. You can do whatever you like. You can add some sculpting. And remember to go back and forth, paint and sculpt. You don't need You don't need this paint. It's just nothing for now. Foliage you can add. Now, before you do anything, make sure that when you're going to your content browser here for assets and static meshes, you click on content and then you search for the item. So you can type in trees, right? Tree, sorry. And from there, you take the tree that you have. I'll take the rod tree, drop it into foliage. I say foliage, but it's foliage. And then you can now manually place it. Ta-da. Now, you don't want to place too many because it will hit performance after a while. But like for a map this size, I'll say, you could probably fill the whole thing up with right here. Yeah, so this is about good right here. You won't get hit on performance at all. Even if you fill... Well, I think the map this size, if you fill it up, it'd be fine. But as soon as you get bigger and you have the equivalent of this much doubled, yeah, you're going to start hitting really bad performance. But that's exactly how you place foliage here. And this is actually a static mesh. So if you want to search for static meshes, you always go here and type whatever you need. So you get castle, wall. You don't need to put space. And then you got all this stuff here. Material, it's got everything. So if you want to look for something specific, make sure you go to your filters and you can manually pick what you have. And then to activate it, bam, you click on it right here and it'll light up with a color. And just like that. Now these, you got to make sure you have the right files in there because some of them are custom content. And if they are, you got to copy them and do the same thing. Put them into your folder, test, shared assets. And then you grab them from there, not from here. You copy these and move them there. And then you grab them from here, and then you have it here in your folder, and it should pop up, and you just place them. Otherwise, if you place them from another shared asset, it's not gonna be in the game. It's just gonna be as missing because it's not technically in the folder that it's searching for. That's right. I just did a Star Wars reference there. Okay, and that's pretty much it. Once you want to cook it, you just pretty much. Oh, first let me correct this. Just remove that because that won't work. Why won't it work? Oh, I just broke it. And that does happen occasionally. I have details on the far left. Okay, let's do window outlier. Castle wall. Just delete that because it's not going to be referenced. And that's fine. And then if you want to get all of the assets, make sure you click content and it will go through all of the subfolders. If you just go to a subfolder, it won't search the parent folder. So make sure you have the top out there. Except when you're using custom assets, then you want to specifically look for those in your folder. And that's fine. That's a little tedious process, but once you get used to it, it really isn't tedious as much. It's just a quick point and click. And then from there, yeah, you just cook it. Now, how do you want to cook it? Cook right here. This is the button right here. Cook, cook, cook. But before you do that, you want to make sure the settings in your project allow for specific cooking. So now I have a map, and you guys are probably going to be empty here. So make sure in the search bar, when you go to project settings, you type in cook. And there we go. So you won't have any of this. It'll all be blank. So you press the space, click what you want, as already pre-selected. So make sure you go through the subfolders and directories and go to your map. So mine would be test, right? And this is the map right here. Bam. Open. Now it's there. Now you won't have it in a second one, but here we'll just do it as if it was you. Test. Bam. Now this map will cook. You don't necessarily need anything else because you're just doing this. And make sure this is ticked. It will only cook this level. And that should be all you need. Now, you can add the directories not in it to never cook as a precaution. I don't. It doesn't really bother me any. But however you like to do it is up to you. You can add your blueprints. You can add all the custom other assets that you're using. And that's pretty much it. Then from there, you just exit out. Save. Always save before you cook. Just in case. Now you see the lights need to be rebuilt. All you have to do there is build lighting only, but we're not going to do that. And yeah, that'll build the lights. And from here, all you need is a spawn point before you cook, because otherwise you won't be able to load the map. Simple solution. Player start, or sorry, Mordhau player, and then you don't even have to type the whole thing. Just click off that, and then it'll automatically pop up all the stuff. And this is it right here. So that's where the player will start. Now, if you're doing horde mode too, horde start or spawn. Sorry, spawn for horde, start for player. And there's the horde. So now if you're going to spawn here, and the horde's going to spawn there. Now there's no weapons on the map yet, and the easy way to do that is just to type in purchasable, and you have all the weapons here to your disposal here. Now, not every weapon's on here. Like the long spear, I believe, is not on here, and what was the other one? I forget the other. And the light armor legs for some reason don't appear, and the ammo doesn't work either. So just be wary on that. Maybe in 1.1 it will be fixed. I'm not quite sure. I'm not working on it. So we'll see what the patch notes entail once that's released. And that's pretty much all you need to start into the level. And then you save again. Cook. We already dealt with the world settings for the game mode. So that's all you need. Now we're going to cancel that because we're not actually going to make this map. So after that, what you want to make sure is you get a light process, because if you go to like in the shade, it's gonna auto adjust with you. So what you want to do is just get actually you don't need to search here, it's a post process volume. Drag it into the map. Doesn't really matter where you drag it, honestly. And then from here you type in brightness right here, and then you're gonna want to check mark these. Now depending on how bright your map is, like this one, it's good at a 0.8 minimum. And then a 1.2. So you want the range there. That way it won't, when you go into the shade, it won't dim. And then when you go into the light, it blinds you. You don't want that. That auto adjustment is terrible. So from here, the auto exposure, yeah, they won't be as bad. This will actually be pretty decent. And if you want to search for the auto exposure, I believe it's under world setting, auto. Yeah, no, it's not it. Details, auto. Exposure, makes another project settings. Let's check real quick. Auto exposure, here it is. So you just click this off, and it's, you won't have to worry about the screen adjusting while you're in editor. And yeah, that's pretty much it. There will be some other things that you can do. So right now the nav for AI won't move because there's no nav here for the AI. The AI will spawn, but they won't move. So now you got to put in a AI. Let's just do nav. So now let's do this real quick. These three are the only ones you're gonna have to worry about. Proxy don't really work in Mordhau, so don't worry about it. But if you do another project, you're gonna need this to link from 2 different navigation points. But for now, this is a nav mesh bounce. We're gonna make that bigger. And bounds is where the AI can walk. Let's make it just a little bit bigger, and you'll start to see it. Now press P, and you can see where this is where the AI can go. That means in these spaces where the green is not, they cannot go. So if you really want to get it going everywhere, you just make it a little bit bigger and add it. Now this is a small enough map that I can do this, but if you get a bigger map, you're gonna have to kind of customize the size of your navigation bounds. So like if you get stairs, you're gonna have to do a separate one for stairs and a different floor, because if you do it for 2 floors with 1 box, the AI will kind of walk under it and then stop because they're confused trying to go upstairs and downstairs at the same time. It just confuses them. So make sure that you have nav mesh for one level, one story, one floor. And then once you go to the next floor, you have another one. And they can overlap a little bit. That doesn't really have any effect. So it's even better to do that than with the proxy links, because they don't work in Mordhau for custom maps. And that's fine. Now, if there's specific areas that AI is getting stuck on, you have the nav modifier. This will keep them from going anywhere near it. So just make that a little bit bigger, wider. There you go. So now you can see that it's taken away, subtracting from that corner piece. The AI will not go there. So if you got rocks that they keep trying to walk into, because some of the collisions are kind of goofy, just add in a modifier and they won't go there. Yeah, and that's pretty much the basics. You save it and you go and you tweak it. The stairs are a little bit more difficult, and some collisions are kind of off. So you always got to keep an eye out for that, and always check your collisions by going to Lit, Layer Collisions. And you can see there's not really any collisions here because the trees don't have collisions. I turn them off. And then you go to Lit to see lighting, Unlit to see just without the light. But for purposes, press P to turn that off, and then you can see this is what it looks like in game-ish, more or less. And this is if you're having problems if you're doing a night map. Now, if you're doing a night map, your auto exposure brightness, you're going to want auto exposure brightness. Your brightness maximum and minimum are going to be a little bit different. You're going to have to tweak with that. I typically like to have it a smaller range because it's nighttime, and the only thing that I want kind of lit is the torches, but I don't want to be blinded by those, and then be, blinded by the darkness in the night. So yeah, I just keep it at 1:1 for minimum and maximum. That way you're always going constant. But that's just me for my maps, and I plug in the map as if it were that. But you're gonna have to do a lot of plug and play in your maps. And that concludes this video. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that, and this is just the basic stuff. Again, always save your stuff. And if you don't do anything, you leave your computer for a little bit, it will have an auto save. But I know, let's just save that right now. And that's it. You have your map. You got it saved. You go in here. You can even see that it's there once you refresh. Test, 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 test. This is the Mordhau games. Oops. I have it saved here. Mordhau. And content. If you want to make maps, you always put them in content. And then once you cook them, they'll be in saved. Saved, cooked, Windows, Mordhau, content, Mordhau, maps. And then these are all my maps right here. Now, test isn't in there because I didn't complete the cook, but if I did cook it, it would be right here, and I'd copy it from here and go to the last area where my game is saved. And if you ever want to put maps in, or you go to content, Mordhau, maps. This is it. This is where you put your list of maps. Pre-cooked. This is not cooked stuff, so you put it in there. And so if you go here and I copy all this, I can give it to anyone, and they can pretty much recreate this on their engine. And that's it. They just gotta make sure all the blueprints are replugged in, and that's really it. Now the spawns won't work. Like if you have something advanced in blueprints, which this one I don't believe has anything. Yeah, so it's pretty empty. This is how it's gonna be. If you want to start putting in stuff, make sure you're saving it as custom content as well. And that's it. I'm going to leave it at this. If there's anything that I might have missed, I'll make another video. But let me know what you guys thought of this. Hopefully this helps you guys out, and this was get you started on your path to Mordhau modding. All right, guys. Well, that's it. This is Lord Commander Guts signing off. I'll catch you guys later.